This eBay eSports gaming PC that I built for under $200 started out as a journey going through eBay, scrolling through the limitless amount of deals that they have until one particular deal struck my eye. The HP Z400 motherboard combo was something I couldn't pass up. It came with the motherboard, a cooler, a CPU, 18 gigabytes of RAM, and a Quadro k620 graphics card. I immediately went and bought a Thermaltake power supply, 500 watts, because I don't need a whole lot of power for this thing, a DIY case for 40 bucks, and a 2.5-inch SSD from Team Group. I thought I was set, or so I thought. The HP Z400 motherboard created some problems that I was not prepared for when I clicked that buy button on eBay. First, when I tried to mount the CPU cooler, I had no backplate. So luckily, I found a $2 solution from Lowe's and found some nylon nuts and washers that were able to do the job and create that nice tight seal to keep my CPU chill. The next thing was I needed a case that would cover up this old ugly motherboard, and it turns out that case swapping one of these HP motherboards is not the easiest thing in the world to do. First off, I found that the power supply is proprietary in these things, so I needed an adapter for the 24 pin. Luckily, I found that on eBay for about $8. Also found out that these modern cases often use USB 3, and there's no USB 3 pins on these motherboards, so I also needed an adapter for that, and that cost me another $9. When testing out this motherboard before I put it in the case, I realized I was getting some boot errors before I could get into Windows. There are some connectors on the bottom of the motherboard that need to have some stuff plugged in that is apparently proprietary to the HP Z400 case. Luckily, I found a seller on eBay that sold a cord for only $5 that got rid of that boot error. Again, this cord would have to be hidden inside the case, but nobody would be able to see it, so I didn't think it was that big of an issue. The last boot error was a 4-pin front fan that needed to be plugged in. I found a 4-pin fan laying around my house. That cleared the last boot error, and I was able to get into Windows. The last thing was, as I was putting the case together though, it come time to plug up the front panel power, and boy, was that a challenge. Luckily, I found a message board where somebody showed me exactly where to plug them up, just like I needed to in order for my power button to work on my front panel. If you look closely, as I zoom in here, where the front panel would be plugged in at, we're gonna use the far right side, 4 pins on top, 4 pins on bottom. In the bottom right, we have the power LED plus and minus, and just to the left of that on the bottom is where we're gonna plug up the power switch. And then we're gonna line up the other ones on top correctly. So now we can let the games begin.
In Apex Legends, we had to drop the resolution down to 720p to get a playable experience at least 30 FPS. It really wasn't that bad, considering that we paid less than $200 for this PC, so I was pretty excited about that. Next up, in Valorant, which can pretty much run on a potato, we got over 100 FPS the entire time, so that was exciting, and I was able to, get a few kills there. Next up in Fortnite, it was a little stuttery off the battle bus like it always is, but it balanced out and we got a solid 60 plus FPS experience. And the 1% lows were a little bad, but that's okay. Last up, we got Overwatch 2, again over 60 FPS. For less than $200, you really just can't beat that. Overall, I was very pleased with this eBay experience. If you like this, then check out how Facebook went.